All right, guys, let's talk about triangles. We need to talk about the different classifications of triangles. We can classify triangles based on what we know about their sides. We'll put those over here. And we can classify triangles based off what we know about their angles. We'll put those over here. We will go at it this one at a time. First off, angles. We have a triangle called an acute triangle. Now you got to be careful. One of the main ideas that's going to play into this concept is called the triangle Sum Theorem. The triangle Sum Theorem says that the angles of a triangle, there's three of them, must always add to equal 180 degrees. That happens every single time. An acute triangle is when all angles are between 0 and 90 degrees. Often referred to as acute angles, but all of the angles would have to be between 0 and 90 degrees. Well, let's stick here. Let's say one of them isn't. An angle that's equal to 90 degrees would be, that's what a right triangle. Well, since the angles have to add up to 180 degrees, you can't have more than one being 90 degrees, because if there was a second one, that would be 180. We wouldn't have room for the third one. All right. This is a right triangle when we have exactly one 90-degree angle. The other two would be acute. If that one angle is bigger than 90 degrees, that's called an obtuse triangle. Here, when exactly one angle between 90 and 180 degrees. You can't have two, otherwise, again, we would mess up the triangle sum theorem. All right. And in the rare case, we have all of the angles the exact same. That's called equiangular. All angles are equal, and since they have to add up to 180 degrees, I can divide 180 into three equal parts. That means all of the angles would be 60 degrees. All right. So let's talk about the sides. Again, let's just go a quick little picture. If we have equiangular, all of the angles would be the same. Okay. If we're talking about sides, if all of the sides are the same, that's called equilateral. And the cool part about triangles is the only shape that if I have an equilateral triangle, I know that I also have an equiangular triangle. It's the only shape where if you have one, you got to have the other. All right. So if, let's say, not all of the sides are the same, let's say just maybe two of them, two or more would be the same. That's called isosceles. You gotta be careful. Most people have this definition incorrect because a lot of these were covered in your middle school classes as well. Isosceles. This is when a triangle has at least two congruent sides. And the cool part about isosceles, let's say, let's maybe move a little bit this way. If I had an isosceles triangle, here's what a common isosceles triangle look like. If these two sides were the same, all right, let's say this one was different. One of the cool things you always get with isosceles triangle, the angles that are across from these sides, which are referred to as the base angles, your base angles are going to be equal or congruent as well. And that's really helpful because let's say I knew one of the angles was 50 degrees. Then I know the other base angle is going to be 50 degrees. And because of the triangle sum theorem, I know they have to add up to 180. So far, I've got 100 degrees. That means the third angle would have to be 80 because we have to total 180. All right. And the last one, if I have two sides the same, here's the three are the same. If none of them are the same, we're talking about a scalene triangle. When no sides are equal or congruent. So that might look like this. Kind of not an easy one to draw. The question is, how can I communicate that none of those sides are the same? Well, we use what these are called little congruent tick marks. So if I put one tick mark here, I'm trying to say that this side is the same as any other side that has the same amount of marks. So just on the second side, I want to have a different set of tick marks, and on the third side, a different set of tick marks again. So triangles have some fantastic qualities. Make sure you're very aware of these ideas that if you have equilateral, you get equiangular. If two sides are the same, two angles will be the same. If none of the sides are the same, then none of the angles will be the same. All right. Make sure you study these. This will be very important.